everyone. We're just going to give it 1 minute for everybody to come over. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Get my microphone a little closer. All right. Well, it's 1:10 and we'll be getting started. It looks like everybody has transitioned into the room that we need. Hi, I'm Eve. Some of you may know me. This is our breakout session for today's summit. We are doing AR best practices today. We're going to talk about clear reporting, year-end prep, and audit support. All right, do we have anything we need to cover, or I'll just go ahead and continue?
Yeah, you can go ahead and get started. Thanks, Eve.
Thanks. All right, so our topics today are understanding aged owner balances and AR reports. And I understand that some of you may already have this information. We're just going to go over some things that are misunderstood and talk about the reconciliation with that. We're going to talk about financial report troubleshooting and getting the data you need, as well as year-end close and beginning balance accuracy. I do want to dig a little bit deeper into these topics so you understand what you're going to be talking about. So we're going to talk about understanding the aged owner balance and reports, and that being generating and interpreting aged owner balances and AR activity reports. So to see which one works best for you. I'm a big fan of both of them. Troubleshooting discrepancies and balances and last payment data, as well as filtering and exporting reports to meet audit and board needs. Now, as we go along, we do only have 50 minutes to cover these topics, and I apologize if we don't get to all of them. But we're also going to go over financial report troubleshooting, getting the data you need, and that means pulling detailed GL description reports, detailed GL reports with checked data, ensuring filtering and toggles are correctly applied, solving one-off reports issues for specific communities, which it's something that a lot of us need. And then we're going to finish up with closing information on your year end. So fixing fiscal year errors, calendar versus fiscal, entering accurate beginning balances, and posting adjustments without reopening closed years. I do want to say, if we don't complete all this information, you can request these later on a one-on-one. So let's get to our live demonstration. I am going to pull my sample data right now. Again, I do want to mention this is sample data. So if you are wondering, these are not necessarily real people. And I want to point out, we have a Q&A chat. So as I'm going along, feel free to put in your questions in the Q&A chat through the Q&A button. And we will try to get them answered in the timely manner. But if we don't get them answered, we will reach out to you later on the topics here. All right, so let's start with generating and interpreting aged owner balances and AR activity. So in your community, I hope you can see my mouse. It has the little yellow. On the left-hand side in the menu bar, I'm going to click on reports, and from the drop-down, standard reports. And standard reports is where in Enumerate Central all of your reports are housed. I'm going to go down to the accounts receivable section here. And right under there is the aged owner balance report. Now, for the majority of you that I know of, the aged owner balance report is a preferred report for your board package. So understanding the data in it is very important. I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Now, I do want to bring ahead the date on here. This is the as of date. It is an as of date report. And as of date reports also reconcile to the balance sheet. And that's important to know if you're using accrual accounting, right? Accrual accounting in Florida is an accrual accounting state. The balance sheet as of date to the balance sheet as of date, or the AR report balance sheet AR date to the balance sheet date has to match. Whew. All right, so I'm not going to really change anything else here. You can show detail if you want to see what those balances are. This is a very overlooked item in looking at the report. Now, with show detail, you may not want to show that to your board members, but we can turn it on for our purposes. Over here on the left, and yours may be oriented differently on your screen. Mine is just a smaller screen, yours may be larger, but show last payment, another very overlooked parameter that will help you view this report. So I'm just going to turn that on. I can show collection status if I want to see anybody in collections. That may help me understand maybe why their balance is what it is. If you're using cost centers, you can include cost center summary. I am not going to turn that on. I'm also not going to turn on suppress credit balances. Generally, you should not have credit balances in your owner's accounts, not in any of the codes except for prepaid. You can have a prepaid balance, but if you have a credit balance in, say, an A1 assessment, reach out to us. That probably shouldn't be there. It could, but it shouldn't for best practice. All right, I'm going to come down and hit the blue apply button on the right-hand side, and that's going to give me the data that I just chose. It is important to click that apply button. That is going to tell the system whatever parameters I chose, that's what you're going to show. Now on screen, I only have a few homeowners here so we can see that data, and I apologize for the size of the screen if you guys can't get it any bigger. This will be recorded, so later on you can blow it up on your screen and maybe see it better. And like I said, you can request that one-on-one if you need a deeper dive. So we're going to start with the very first homeowner here, George Clark. It shows his address, his account number. He is under a reminder notice. Now that's his collection status. Remember, this is fake data, right? So maybe you're like, wow, that's quite a balance for a reminder notice. It's fake, but he is under a reminder notice. So we can see that. You can see his last payment was actually in February of 2025. He paid $200. So not recently. His current balance broke up between A1 and late fee. He also has a credit. Remember, I mentioned you should not be seeing credits on codes. Here's an example of a credit on a code. He has a credit on that miscellaneous fee. He should not have that. Again, you want to look at his account and see why. Over 60, over 60, over 90. Well, actually, again, sample data, I can point out why this happened. If you have these odd numbers at the top of your report, those are caused by an edit function on the community homepage. So something to know if you're looking at the over numbers and they do not look like the numbers you expect them to be, which would be over 30, over 60, over 90, and then that could make your report look funny. That is labeled on your community homepage in the edit screen. And again, reach out to support if you need help looking at that. I'm just showing you all the things that are off on this report. And then you have your totals. Okay. Now that shows just George Clark. That's a lot to see. And I'm just going to scroll up and turn off the detail button so you can see what it looks like without detail. That was a lot to understand for him. But if we turn off the detail button, it just shows bulk amounts, right? Doesn't show the full story. So it is important to turn on that detail button. You may not want to give that to your board member, but it can help you understand why people are in this report at all. You also should never see homeowners that are in the prepaid report also on this report unless it's a reserved for dedicated prepaid. So if your prepaid has a reserved for a dedicated code, then it will show. Below our homeowners is our code summary. This is going to tell me the codes that are in here. All of these homeowners only have A1 late fees or miscellaneous fees in their totals. They don't have any other codes, so that makes it easier to understand. The accounts, the balances there, and then at the bottom we have our general ledger accounts with totals. And if you're accrual accounting, these are the numbers you're going to match to your balance sheet. So it's important to know that if you're trying to reconcile AR to GL, which you should be, it is best practice to be doing that. Some people do it every day. Some people do it weekly, monthly, but it should be done These are the GL accounts you're going to recognize on the balance sheet, and these are the dollar amounts that should match. And let me tell you, there is no reason they shouldn't match. I hear it all the time. People say, oh, it doesn't match because of X. That is not true. Every day of the week, 300 some days of the year, it's got to match. There's no reason it shouldn't. So this is a great reconciliation report. All right. So this is just a report you may want to look at for help later. I'm just going to show detail again. Again, this is one of my favorite ways to look at balances. All right. The next one we're going to look at is actually the owner AR activity report. So I'm going to go back to reports on the left-hand side and go to standard reports. Again, if I'm going too fast, don't be shy. Go ahead and request that one-on-one. We will take you through your data at a slower pace, so it may help. But the owner activity report is right here in the center. And that's going to show you things that have happened in the system. We're not talking about this today, but I do want to also bring up the owner balance report. I got to throw it out there. That's my favorite report in the entire AR report system is the owner's balance report. This report will show you exactly what an owner owes or has in prepaid on any given day. You can even backdate it and see what they had for a balance or prepaid a month ago on a specific date. So this report is really handy. Those are you coming from our legacy product. This is a handy report because it shows you something similar to the balance button. This is going to show you what's under the balance button on any day. Love it. All right. Owner AR activity. Sorry, I had to plug my favorite report. There we go. Activity report. So the owner activity report, AR activity report, has a start and end date, right? So again, with a start and end date, this will not reconcile to the balance sheet. This is more of an information report. So keep in mind, you can't look at this and say, well, that's how much money was in the GL at the time. It's not that way, but it is a very handy report for looking at balances, figuring things out. So you have your start and end date and the activity in that time. You could even extend that date. And unlike some reports, this will go across years, right? Some of your reports will say, you have to stay in the year you're in. This one will allow you to show across years to give you more data. Also, you have your order by. You can choose just a charge code. Let's say I only wanted to know what miscellaneous fees were happening. I could choose just miscellaneous fees or all charges. I'm going to just stick with all for now. Owner types. Okay, that's an important one right here. Owner types. Generally, we only want to see a primary owner, but perhaps you want to see if any previous owners had any activity. That's something that could be important. We're just going to leave it to all. Hide owners with no activity, right? If you've got thousands of owners and you don't want to see the ones that have nothing, you can turn that on, which we will. And I'm just going to go ahead and hit the blue apply button at the bottom. And then I'm going to scroll down a little bit and a little bit going on here. So my very first person here, the very first homeowner is going to show their beginning balance, right? And that beginning balance is going to be as of 11/30/2024, right? 11/30. So that's your beginning balance. If you're wondering how it comes up with that number, because it's going to be the day before your start date. Then it's going to have your charges. We've charged them on these dates here: December, January, February, March. And then there weren't any payments in that time frame. And then the ending balance after all those things took place is over here. And your ending balance is going to be the date on the end date, right? It's not going to go to the next day like the beginning balance was the day before. The end date is actually 3/31. Now, if we go down to the next person, he actually had a payment on 2/7. You can see the payment and the charges here. I don't have anybody with an adjustment as you go down. You would actually also see adjustments in this time frame. I may be able to make the time frame go back quite a bit and just see if we can extend it and get a little bit more data in here. June, July. Let's just see what we have. There we go. There's a little bit more activity in here. You can see another payment. You can see an adjustment and the adjustment amount, right? So that's a handy feature, is to see just basically what happened on the accounts here. And if we scroll down, there's no last section to show you a breakdown. So really, it's just an information report that can help you find things when you're trying to figure out how to reconcile. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make everybody dizzy. But again, I can say, well, I only want to see assessments, right? Charge codes at the top right. I only want to see assessments. I can do that and hit apply. Now the report is only going to show me assessments, and in this case, charged assessments. And we don't have anything else on the screen. So this is basically every time an A1 assessment was charged. Handy report, quite overlooked sometimes, and it can help you with your reconciliation and finding things to see what happened during that time. So troubleshooting discrepancies and balances in last payment data. We're going to see charges here as well as payments that were made in. Remember, we can see when those payments were made, but also from the aged owner balance report, we saw those last payments that were made. So let's go back to our reports again. Standard reports. And we have on our entire accounts receivable section here. If you're needing to export reports, right? You want to export reports to meet your board members' needs. All of their reports and the accounts receivable reports can be exported individually, and they also can be placed in the package builder or our global packages. So if you're interested in making a package, we're not going to go over it exactly today, but package builder on the left to create packages, I will show you. These are our existing report packages for the community and the global packages, and they have multiple reports. Those as well as the standard reports. Now, to export a report, you can go to aged owner balances or AR activity, and all of the reports have the option to export. So on the left-hand side, that's my export parameters. If you go down to export format, and this is a very overlooked item as well, every report in the system has this. You can send it to PDF, which can be saved on your computer or printed to a piece of paper or emailed as PDF. And then we have Excel, and we have two versions of Excel. I get asked the difference. The difference is this one down here is the newer version of Excel. This is an older, so we do accommodate both versions of Excel. I will point out, just because it is allowed to go to Excel does not mean that it will go into what your expectations of how Excel should digest the data for your usage, but it will absolutely put it into Excel if you're an Excel user. And then we have Microsoft Word. Maybe you want to add something to your report, a disclaimer or some sort of information to it. You can send it to Microsoft Word and edit that report as needed with your own information on it. So those are our export formats. Then you'll click the export button, right? You've chosen your export format, export button. So again, if you're looking to just simply print this, it's not a print button, it's an export button. So that allows you to use it. All right, let's move on to financial report troubleshooting and getting the data you need. And let's talk about pulling a detailed GL report with check data to check data. And I'm going to go ahead and go to reports again and standard reports, because remember, all of our reports are under the reports tab. They're not sprinkled into other modules. They're all here for you to view. And then this is our general ledger section here. Okay, quite a few reports. I will point out there's a balance sheet as well as a balance sheet by range and a fund balance sheet. So there are multiples of them. The name of the game is figuring out which one works best for you and best for your board members. My favorite is the balance sheet by range. If any of you have ever spoke to me, they know that that is my favorite balance sheet report, or the fund balance sheet by range if you require fund accounting. All right, so there's a couple of different ways to run the general ledger. We have a trial balance, and then we have a general ledger detail report. Now, if you're a legacy customers, you'll know that that was one report that had 2 in 1. We have separated them for your convenience. So the trial balance report, first of all, is just going to show you those general ledger numbers with their balances. And it's not going to give you any detail of what made up those balances. Over here, the general ledger detail report will show the report with balances. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that one because it's going to show us more. Now, by default, the include detail should be turned on, but if it's not, always check it. You want to turn on detail because if you're running the detail report, you want detail. You could turn it off. Maybe you just really like this report and you want to turn it off. And there you get a very simple balance forward. That's our beginning balance number, debits and credits in the time frame, and the ending balance. So again, up here we have our start date, 12/1/24. And our end date 12/31/24. So our beginning balance is going to be on 11/30, right? The day before the start date is our beginning balance. Then we have the debits and credits in that time period, and then the ending balance, which will be the date on the end date. Again, you can include balance, include detail, and include prior year balances if you have them. I'm not sure this one does. And then over here, you have an option for detailed reference. So if this is on, the I for information says, when true, the bill distribution for AP and AR will be broken out at the individual reference level. So let's turn that on. I like turning on just about everything to see what it looks like. We don't have cost centers, so I'm going to leave that alone, and I'm just going to hit apply. Now we have quite a bit of data here. This report is going to show you activity in a time frame, as well as all of your GL accounts that you have, as you can see, and the different items. This is a handwritten check. A handwritten check appears a journal entry. So you can see all these entries. Here's some apply charges. Here's a bill that was entered along with the reference for that bill. Some of these reports I feel like everyone uses on a daily basis, but we become desensitized to the parameters because we get the report that we use, but we think, oh, I really wish this report showed this extra bit of information. These actually do. And sometimes we sneak them in. I'll be honest, we do. We sneak in some stuff, but it's there and you should explore that. As you go down, again, this has check information. So these are check numbers. And same as before, you can send it to PDF, Excel, or Word and export as needed. So that's a really great report that you can run. I'm going to do another report, standard reports. Just want to show you down in the accounts payable section, another report, maybe the parameters are overlooked, is the check register. Some people don't realize how much information you can get on the check register. Now, this is accounts payable. We have an include detail button here. It's not by default, but it is there. Most people don't realize it's there. They want to know about their checks. We turn on include detail, hit apply, and now instead of just being a check register about a check, it shows the distributions and amounts, which is pretty handy. A lot of people don't realize that that is there. Let me just go ahead and extend my dates. Just really extended. Apparently I didn't write a lot of checks in this community. Let me go back a little bit more. No, this was the I only have 2 checks.
Demo
Well,
data.
well, it's not a lot of checks in here. I can show you that there is a void. So that's a fun thing to see. I can actually see a void of a check in the system. So that's something that you may want to be aware of, that you can see voids in there. You also have the choice to show voids in the month of occurrence. This void was on 5/5/24, but again, here's our check. Now I just want to show you when I turn off detail and hit apply, Very little information. We have that check, the same one as before. We have our void, but the check just shows $500,000, is it? Ooh, that's a big one. Including detail is going to give you so much more to be able to figure that out, figure out where the check went. All right, let's move on a little bit. So we have talked about filters and toggles are correctly applied. Notice every time I change a parameter, a filter, a toggle, I'm hitting the apply button. Very important as far as running reports and doing your financials. I'm going to go back to reports and standard reports and checking those parameters, making sure they have the detail and data that you want. Another great report we have is bank reconciliation. So I'm just going to go into the bank reconciliation report. It's in the general ledger report section. I'm on board with that, but it's in the general ledger section. In this bank reconciliation report, it says that I don't have any bank recs. I apologize for that. But I do want to point out this one button. We don't need to see the bank rec to know there's a parameter called cleared items. And that's such a handy little option because you can turn it on and see the cleared items on a bank rec, turn it off and they disappear. So you may not want to send a bank reconciliation with cleared items to a board member, or maybe you do, but you can turn that on for your reference. So you can always come back to that bank reconciliation by choosing the statement date. And do I have any reconciliations in here? I guess I don't. But the cleared items will show you some very interesting data. And I just kind of threw that one out there as extra because I thought of it. But going back to our reports, I'm kind of being careful of the time. I don't believe we have any questions, but I will tell you, if you do have any questions, please put them in the Q&A about the topic we're going over.
I think you can also raise your hand and I can unmute you if you have a complicated question for chatting.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Feel free to do that too, and I'll call on you.
That's Ashley Carr, everyone, by the way. She's assisting me today. Thank you, Ashley. I didn't realize they could unmute, but that's wonderful.
I think we can do that. So just
love it.
Hope anyone's up for it.
Yep. All right. So one-off reporting issues for specific communities. Reporting issues, like I said, could be your aged owner balance report was a really good example of a one-off issue. When you're looking at your report, it says over 60, over 60, over 90. Being aware of how your report reads is one of the most important things. To fix that, again, was the community homepage. And let me see if I can just open that up for you. Another thing is show detail or suppressing credit balances. If you're always suppressing credit balances, you may not see that there is a negative item on the miscellaneous fee here. So I just wanted to point that out. And I apologize to everyone. I'm on home internet and it's fun sometimes. So here it comes. All right, here we go. I'm on the webinar screen here. Let me just move Ashley over and I'm going to edit my community. So I'm just going to actions at the top right, edit community. Down here, delinquency period 60, 60, 90. Somebody might have been playing around in here. That should be 30, 60, 90, but you may want to change those dates to something else. I'm going to hit save. And now that I've made that change on the community homepage, I'm going to come back to my report and hit apply, and it should fix it. There it is. Look at that, really, really fast. Now it's over 30, over 60, over 90. So our balances are going to look better. They're going to look correct. One more thing I wanted to point out with the aged report is how it comes up with the current, the 30, the 60, the 90, how it comes up with this dollar amount. This is something that gets a lot of people. Your as of date is the day one of your current date. And your current date is the as of date plus 30 days. So 30 days from as of date, which means If you're counting, the over 30 begins in the previous month, over 60 the previous month. But what if we do this in a mid-month? What if we run it as of the 15th? As of the 15th, the current is going to run in 2 months of data, not one. So you may see some numbers that you don't understand, and that's because when you're changing the as of date from the end of a month to a mid-month date, it's pulling that as your day zero. 30 days is current, 30 to 60 is over 30, 60 to 90 is over 60, and 90 to 120 is the next number. So it's kind of a funny way of seeing it. I feel like it's more of a statistic report, but it is a very great report to have. And board members love it. They expect it. That's always in our board packages. So if you feel like your aging report looks a little off, again, let us know. We'd be more than happy to help you figure that out. Let's talk about year end. If you go to your community homepage, that is where our year end information is going to live. So at the top of the screen here is our current period. Now we're still in 2024. That could cause a problem for our balance sheet. So just to let you know, if you are still in a previous year, your balance sheet will be out of balance. So I'm just going to show you, I've been well working into 2025, and because my 2024 is still open, my balance sheet's going to be out of balance in 2025. So I'm going to go into my balance sheet by range, my favorite report, and show everyone that as of 12/31, it's in balance, right? That red out of balance is not here. But if I move it to January 1st, 2025 and hit apply, now I get this red balance sheets out of balance on the left-hand side. A lot of us see this on the new year, or if you're in an odd fiscal, you'll see this because we have not closed 2024. It doesn't mean anything's wrong. It just means we need to close that year. The system is saying you're out of balance by that closing amount. So a good way to test this is to say, well, I'm in balance at the end of the year, right? But if I go out of balance on day 1, January of the new year, whatever January may be for you, it could be March 1st or May 1st, whatever's the first day of the year, if you go straight out of balance, that's simply a closing that needs to be done. So let me show you that really quick. I'm going to come down to related links at the bottom right-hand corner, and I'm going to click on accounting year dashboard here. And I'm going to say close year. And when I do at the top, I know that I want to close 2024. I'm going to click calculate. This will go really fast. You can have your reference 2024 or whatever you would need your reference to be. 2024. And then I'm going to say close the year at the top right. We're not going to click calculate again. We're going to click close this year at the top right. I'm going to click that. It's pretty fast because it's going to say, okay, I got it. The system will automatically push our accounting periods into the new fiscal year. Now our current period will automatically show January of 2025. If I go back to this report and I run it again, remember January 1st, balance sheet out of balance goes away. So that's something you'll see. Now there's a few reasons for the balance sheet to go out of balance, and one of them is backdated entries. Coming into the new year, or for whatever reason, sometimes our resales don't come in for months until it's time. You may need to backdate an entry, okay? If you need to backdate an entry, you will need to come in and go to the accounting year dashboard again and unclose the year and close the year again. Now, if you need to do this and you feel a little nervous about that, don't be, just give us a call. We'll help you with it. You can contact support, or you can request that one-on-one if you would like somebody to go through it with you. But out of balance, balance sheets, only a few things cause that. One of them being an unclosed year. Another is that you need to reclose a previous year, which is a very simple process. It's not scary. For our legacy customers, it might have been a little scary. We've made it 100% better, 200% better. In the closing, it's not scary anymore. It's easy to do. But those two reasons, out of balance for an unclosed year or backdated entry, number one reason for the balance sheet to be out of balance. Now, if you're new to Enumerate Central, this could simply be one of your required accounts is not set. That's another reason. And required accounts are in the accounting setup under related links at the bottom right. So if you go to the bottom right to accounting setup, and then you scroll down to the bottom, something you should never touch is your required accounts. But if they are not set up, if there's an account missing in there for any reason, or if they have an incorrect account, this too can cause you to go out of balance. A really, really common reason. And the last reason for your balance sheet to be out of balance, again, for new Enumerate users, could be in your general ledger section. So I've gone to general ledger and accounts. So I'm just looking at my GL accounts, and I'm going to go to the top right to actions, and I'm going to go to account ranges. You just want to make sure every number is accounted for. It happens. One number is off, and it will not give you an imbalanced balance sheet. A good way to test this is to come in here and just hit the save button. You haven't made any changes, but if you hit the save button, it goes away. That means every number is accounted for. So quick little thing you can do there. All right, so that balance sheet only has a few reasons to go out. And if you cannot find the reason, give us a call or ask for that one-on-one training, and we'll also help you with that. We're coming up really close on our end of time. Ashley, how much time do you think we have left?
I think we have till 2. So I think you
Okay.
have a little bit more time if you have more topics.
Okay. Sure. I still don't have any questions in the Q&A. If any of you have questions, throw them in the Q&A. And again, even if I can't get to answering them today, I can reach out to you separately. Now, another thing that I wanted to go over is talking about entering accurate beginning balances. So let's say that you've decided to start a new community, right? You want to start a new community. You're not going to go through our conversions department. You're going to do it on your own. You're going to go to portfolio in the menu bar on the left and communities from the drop down. And you're going to add a new community. And then when you get ready to add a new community, which is up here at the top right, add a community has quite a nice screen that you can fill out. After you add that community, your next step, and I know I'm going fast and this is high level. Again, I like to say things kind of like strike that information in your head because you think, hey, that was interesting. Maybe I do want that one-on-one so I can get that detail. But yep, after you add a community, another overlooked option down here under related links is to copy community setup. There it is, copy community setup. And that will allow you to copy over GL accounts and codes and things from a previously selected community or previously set up community. Now you could have a community that you use, or you can have a master community that you've set up with everything pristine and beautiful GL accounts and codes and chart of accounts and copy it over. And then once you do that, you're ready to bring in beginning balances. Now in Enumerate Central, under accounts receivable and adjustments, you have two choices. You can do owner adjustments, which is the first option here, if you just want to enter everybody's balance one by one by one. If you do it through beginning balance, it will not hit the general ledger and you can't enter prepaid. So in doing beginning balance, it does not hit the general ledger. That's important to know when entering beginning balances. It does not hit the general ledger, but owner adjustments do hit the general ledger. However, if you're entering prepaids in, you will need to enter prepaid beginning out balances through this, and you don't want that to hit your general ledger, so you'll need to wash the account. Again, I'm telling you these things, but I'm looking for you to reach out if you want more details on that to enter your own information. Another thing you can do is import your beginning balances. This is a lot to go over in the next 11 minutes, so I'm not going to, but absolutely, if you want to tackle that, I would love to show you how to import your own beginning balances through a spreadsheet, and it's Excel spreadsheet, and there's a trick to it, but it's a lot faster than one by one by one. Now, if you only have, 30 homeowners, let's do them like that. Absolutely. But if you have thousands, maybe not. Maybe let's do the import function. Importing can be scary for people, but that's what we're here for.
We have a
I
poll I can put up now actually while we're chatting if you want anyone to reach out to you. Oh,
Sure.
always do that. Oh, you know what? I don't seem to have access to it. Do you have the poll, Eve, or no?
Do I?
If it's okay if you
I
don't.
have polls.
Okay. Or you can make me the host and I can do it. Either way.
I sure can. Let me make you the host.
Sweet. And then you can keep going and I'll throw the poll up at the end.
Right. I love it. Make host. Look at
Cool.
me go.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. So, you can absolutely, the last thing I wanted to talk about is you absolutely can post adjustments without reopening closed years. Owner adjustments, provided you have the role permissions. That's another thing a lot of people want to ask about is can we stop people from doing that? And you can. There are roles and permissions that prevent people from making adjustments in closed periods or years. And again, I can take you through that as well, or the support team can. Or you can go to the Get Help at the bottom left-hand corner and ask Get Help some of the questions that we went over today. For example, if you click on Get Help, you can type in specific questions. So how do I close the year? And I'm just going to put a question mark. You're talking to it like you're talking to a person. How do I close the year? I'm going to click the blue button and it's going to think about it. And then it's going to give me an answer. This case, it tells me exactly how to close a year. And if you scroll down, I know it's tiny, I'm so sorry. If you scroll down, you can actually go to a knowledge base article that you can print, and it talks about closing the year in Enumerate Central. Okay. If you think, wow, that is more information than I needed, and I don't want that, we have some follow-up questions that you could click on for more information. And if that's still too much for you, down, you can just type in human. And when I type in human, can you even see that? The little button's kind of in the way. But if I type in the word human and hit enter, the system knows, you know what, we're going to get you a human, and it will go ahead and create a ticket document for you. You will need to fill this in if it doesn't have it. At the very least, you need to click the submit button. So even though it looks like a create ticket is here, you will need to click that submit button for it to go to our support team and they will contact you back. So that's a pretty handy feature. Anything we've kind of talked about today, even you can ask, what is an aged owner balance report? You want a definition of it. What is an aged owner balance report? You can ask that of the Enumerate Assist Get Help, and it will give you information, key features, etc. I found that out the other day. I thought it was really, really cool. I was asking it questions like, what is modified accrual accounting? And it gave me the answer, and I was pretty excited about that. I knew what modified accrual accounting was, but I wanted to know if it did, and it did. Pretty great. And then to close it at the bottom left is this little close button, bottom left of the box. There it is. And then there's the Get Help. You can click it at any point. It will reopen for you there. So pretty handy stuff. Still no questions. Does
No.
anyone want to hold their hand? Does anyone want to raise your hand and have anything to ask or say before I close out here today?
Do you want to put that last slide up where people can ask if they have questions or need support, you can email that. And I'll throw a poll up here if you quickly if you want to. If you need any sort of follow-up, feel free to hit the answer there, and we will we'll take that. We will be capturing this data if you need it. So I think the poll is coming through. Cool. Well,
Yep.
thank you so
I
much
see it.
you for sharing. We'll have a recording of this. If you have any technical support questions that came through, we'll make sure that we can follow up with you there. Eve does training weekly. Is that true, Eve? Or monthly?
We have weekly webinars. Every other week is Central. Every other week is Engage. So this week on Thursday, this afternoon, is actually an Engage webinar if you're looking to learn more about Engage with Heath.
Lots more there. Obviously, we have support if you need it. We can't do your accounting, but we do have accounting services separately. So thank you again for all of your time and attention today. We've really had a great time at the summit, and hope you learned something about the industry or about Enumerate. And we thank you so much, and thank you, Eve, for your time as well.
Thanks, Ashley. Thanks for your help. Thank you, everyone.